Welcome to Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. Hawks dropped the game tonight to the Miami Heat 122-112, which ties the season series 2-2 between the two teams, which means tiebreakers or the Hawks winning the division pretty much, will kill that tiebreaker. Though, unless the Heat cash them in the standings, Hawks at the moment don't have to worry about the Heat, but cannot let this loss balloon into 3, 4, 5 losses, and then the Heat get hot. And then you have other teams also who's catching up from behind. So obviously, Hawks still stay in 7th tonight because Orlando lost the Dallas Mavericks. So they are still in the exact same seeding that they were to start the day. So obviously that would be one thing that you could take away from tonight. But overall, Hawks, tough loss. Again, a common story in the last couple of weeks. One really bad quarter dooms the team. They're having to fight from behind and just can't get over the hump. So we'll go into all that today on the Believe in Hawks podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode. If you enjoy this episode, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. I know when the Hawks lose, a lot of people don't want to watch pods. So for everybody who do, I really appreciate y'all because I know who y'all the real ones are who's sticking with me through thick and thin when it comes to that. So also follow me on X, Twitter, Bricey_2K, BRICEY_2K, where you can catch up with my tweets during the game with the Hawks and just also be able to interact with me, talk to me, whatever you want to do. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So like I said, man, it was a tale of a quarter. Hawks played a really good first quarter, played the exact way that you want to play against Miami. Fast-paced, dictate the pace. Miami defense couldn't get set. Miami wasn't hitting threes, and the Hawks were able to take advantage. Second quarter, complete reverse. Hawks got sloppy. Hawks started missing shots. They couldn't get stops. And then the Heat just completely flipped the game. Started getting hot from three. Alec Burks hitting threes. Davion Mitchell hitting threes. And Tyler Hero had a big game tonight. Tyler Hero was literally the best player on the floor tonight. He came up big for the Heat, and that was really propelled them over the Hawks. Hawks fought back in the third, at the end of the third, going to the fourth, making some runs. Hawks got it to 5 points where Tyler Hero just made a deep three over Okongwu. That was one of those shots that you just tip your hat to him and just say, hey, just not our night tonight. So obviously, I know for a lot of Hawks fans, it's probably a little frustrating, especially with the way you started this game. Like I said, I get it on Twitter, everybody's crashing out about the team. Some are like, it is what it is. He got hot. You're still 7th spot. Really ain't nothing changed. Other people, well, oh my God, this team is terrible. Trae Young's gonna leave. Oh my God, every person we got to trade is garbage. It's just you're either you're just like, listen, tip your hat to Miami Heat, or you think this team's the worst team ever. It's just two sides after every loss. So, obviously, that was kind of what happened tonight, realistically. And really, when touching on the fact that the Hawks, go have these quarters like they had against Houston, that they had against the Clippers, where it's just they just don't play well at all. And some things I've seen when they do that, I've noticed on offense, it feels like every shot they're taking is not in rhythm. It doesn't feel like they're comfortable. It just doesn't feel like this is like, it feels like every shot they took was a bad, even if it was open, it felt like it was a bad shot because it felt like they were rushing it. There was not a rhythm to it. Like, oh yeah, this is a quality shot for them. They're getting the look they want. They're comfortable taking it. It felt like they were just trying to, let me just pull up, try to hit a three and try to end the run. And let me try to just shut their momentum down. And then it just snowballs because teams didn't take the ball out of the hoop and run and go. In Miami, he's not even a running team. They are one of these slower paced teams. They like to play more half court offense, slow it down, and just beat you with strategic game planning, coaching, and then players making plays. And so, the Hawks in that second quarter, just like I said, offensively, the Heat really kind of suffocated them a little bit. And that's the thing. The Heat know what the Hawks want to do is get into the paint because that's what the Hawks can, get their points. That's what the Hawks want to do. They want to attack you. Heat do a really good job of cutting down lanes and not allowing the Hawks to get a lot of easy looks that way. So what happens is what most teams try to do now is they try to make the Hawks are a shooting team. And the way they start in the first quarter is like, oh, Hawks are hot. But here's the thing, law of averages. Hawks start off like 5 or 6. Realistically, they're going to get cold at some point. You hope the Hawks maybe have a game where they can hit 23s, and that means they probably throughout the entire game were able to hit threes in every quarter. But if you're only not doing that, if let's say you hit like 6 threes in the first quarter, and then you finish with 15, well, clearly you only hit 7 threes for the next 2 quarters, so clearly the 3-point ball wasn't going down for you like that. And so, I think it's one of those things where the Hawks have to kind of figure out, like, why do we have these quarters where we just collapse? And Quinn's mentioned it. He's like, if we're playing well offensively, it helps our defense. But he's also said if we're not playing well offensively, it hurts our defense, and vice versa. We're not playing well defensively, that could hurt our offense. And I think that's really what you see when they have those runs and they have those struggles. It just feels like it's just like what just happened. It felt like we just fell apart in everything. So, for me, that's the tough part. Because then the Hawks will play 3 other very competitive quarters with the team. And so it's like you're just sitting there and it's like, okay, it's not like the Hawks are losing 3 out of 4 quarters, losing every quarter. It's like you'll see a game where they'll win 3 quarters, but they just have a really bad 1 quarter, and then that's what the difference in the game is. And so obviously that can be very frustrating. Obviously, one of the big things tonight was they didn't go with Mo Gueye. Mo Gueye did not play tonight. Vic Krejci got the start, and he played well. Hit some big threes. Krejci continues to shoot well from 3. He was active on the boards, helping with ball movement. Obviously, that's why he's there. He can help. He's another playmaker, another ball handler on the floor. So, Krejci played well tonight. And they did it, too, because in case the Heat went to that zone, they felt like that's a good way to counter it, have another ball handler on the floor. Heat really never went to the zone tonight. So, but, some people were saying the issue with it is that now you're a little bit smaller without Gueye on the floor when you have Krejci. And so maybe the Heat really didn't take advantage of that in the first quarter. They started taking more advantage of it in the second, which is when they made the run. But overall, I think with the Hawks, when they didn't start Mo Gueye, some people were asking, like, okay, what does that mean? Why didn't they start Mo Gueye? What is the meaning behind not starting Mo Gueye? And I sat here and I said to myself, and Brad Rowland made a great point, and this has kind of been the case. I've been saying, like, hey, if Gueye can develop a 3-point shot in the offensive game, he has good rim protection, he can rebound a little bit, he can be a player. But even with me saying that and being like, okay, Gueye could maybe be something, we also have to be realistic about what he is right now. And right now, he is not a great NBA rotation player. He's not. He could give you a good game here and there. At best, right now, he would be on an average good playoff team, probably the end of the bench, like the 3rd power forward, the 3rd center, whatever position they want to put him at. He would be like, hey, we're depleted at the position, and you're like our last line of defense for a lot of teams. And I'm just being honest about that. And you can tell by the way they play him, because they sometimes only play him like 12, 13 minutes a night. So it's not like they're trying to give him a lot of time on the floor. He gets more time on the floor when he has a good game just because, okay, you're playing well. That warrants you getting more minutes. But a lot of the time, they're having to go to a Niang more or even a Ricochet at the 4 or a Terrence Mann because, Gueye can't be on the floor that long. And I said it after the Houston game. I said the issue is that Houston was a bad matchup for Gueye, and so that made him even more unplayable. So then it's just like, even though he provides size, you can't keep him out there for long stretches. And that's going to be one of the big decisions that the Hawks have to make next year when trying to decide who will be the backup for Jalen Johnson. Because do you believe Gueye can grow enough this offseason to warrant him being your backup for? Because it's not about – because realistically, Jalen plays about 35 minutes a game, around that. So at best, you're freeing up 13 minutes for backup 4 minutes. That's about how much the Hawks play him. But here's the thing. It's an 82-game season. Jalen probably is not going to play all 82 games. Like, it's very rare you find anybody who does that. So in that situation, there's going to be games where, okay, you're going to need your backup four to step up. Are the Hawks comfortable with that? Like, the thing is, it should be, okay, Gueye's playing like 10, 12 minutes a game if Jalen's playing. And then if he has to, start because Jalen's out, Gueye can play 20, 22 minutes or whatever. If the Hawks don't feel confident in that, you probably need to go in a different direction with a backup four. And I know a lot of people talk about the size tonight, and Miami was able to take advantage of the size at times tonight just because of the disadvantages. Because remember, they had Ricochet playing a lot of four tonight. And so one of the big things for me when it comes to that is, that's why everybody's focused on that backup center position, but they also may want to acquire size at the backup four that's not Mo Gueye. And then you increase your front line and your bench that way. And then when Jalen comes back, you're a much bigger team, and now the size isn't as big of an issue. You got bigger on the wings, now you're just getting a little bit bigger in the front court, like in terms of your bigs. So for me, with that situation, some people maybe are wondering, is Quinn already trying to get his playoff rotation set? Because realistically, if they went to 9 guys, because you always hear it all the time in the league, you get to the playoffs, you shorten your rotation. And the person who probably would get his minutes cut would probably be Gueye, if anything. But and realistically, the lineup they had tonight, they could probably get away with it against Boston, maybe, just because Al Horford kind of hovers around the line and stuff like that. But realistically, you play Cleveland, you can't get away with it. But the thing is, like, it's not like you have a Mo Gueye is like a better option. And even Brad said it. He said, I mean, really, out of this roster right now, Gueye's on the bottom of this roster in terms of active players, in terms of like if you're ranking the good players on the Hawks. Like, he's not top 5 or even in some people's eyes top 10. So, like, realistically, in that situation, I mean, you're just working what you got. And he pulled him in the second half of the Houston game. So Quinn has pulled Gueye at times when he struggles. And so that's something the Hawks have to evaluate this offseason when trying to decide, okay, what are we going to do with the backup 4 spot, right? What's going to happen with Mo Gueye? If you look at the numbers tonight, Hawks shot 52% from the field, but Miami shot 54%. Hawks shot 44% from 3. So you're like, oh, okay, they shot well, hit 18 threes tonight. Heat shot 55%. Hawks at 15 turnovers tonight. They lost the rebounding battle by 1. I mean, Trey led all scorers with about 29 points. He kind of got going a little bit later. He went 6-12 from 3. So from a 3-point perspective, he had a good night. 12 assists on the game. Dyson had 9, 8, and 3 tonight. Struggled. I mean, Hero had a great game against him tonight. Hero cooked tonight. That happens to the league. But Dyson, just one of those games, he didn't have his best games. Like, listen, there's a lot of guys tonight didn't have a great game. Chicago didn't have the most amazing game ever. He had 15-9, but they didn't have a great game. Krejci, like I said, had a strong game, I would say, out of all the guys. Ricochet, 5 points tonight, 4 assists. He was tied for trade for the worst plus minus with minus 20. Like, and the nigga said Ricochet still has those games. As much as he's improved, he still has those games. He's still learning. He's still growing. He looked like a rookie tonight. LeVert, 17, struggled at the beginning of the game, kind of started to get more shots to fall in the second half. That's going to be very big for the Hawks. They need LeVert to provide scoring. They need him for them to have a chance to even try to upset a team in the postseason. Like, if it is Boston, LeVert going to have to be Chris LeVert that gets you 20 a game. If that's going, he's going to have to be with Trae Young and ride with Trae. If not, they don't have much of a shot unless somebody else is filling in for that scoring. I mean, Terrence Mann had 14 points tonight. Terrence Mann is still a funny player because right now he is currently on when he struggles, he's the worst player ever. Trade him. Don't put him in the rotation next year. And then when he plays well, he'll have 14 points, hit 2 from 4 from 3, 6, 8 from the field. Okay, he can play a little bit. But then he also had moments tonight where he stopped the fast break twice. And you're just like, what are you doing, brother? Like, man is kind of that kind of player where it's like he has moments of like, all right. And he has moments of like, what are we doing? Niang really didn't give you nothing tonight. Barlow really didn't give you too much tonight either. So if you look at what I just told you, Hawks fought, but they didn't get enough from their guys. So tough stuff for sure. But like I said, they still 7th in the standings. And so on. So they play the Bucks next. That's their next opponent. Could potentially be without Giannis. You really probably need that game. Then you got Portland back at home. You need to get that game. Got the Mavericks. 80's back. That'll be a tough game. It's in Dallas too. Got the Knicks. Tough game. They'll probably, Tom Thibodeau gonna have them boys playing. Utah, you gotta beat Utah. Magic. That's gonna be the tough one. That's the crucial one. If there's still a game and a half behind you, that game is huge against the Magic. The Nets, you got to get that one, and the Sixers, you got to get that one. And then Magic again. So the Hawks, realistically, in my opinion, with about 9 games left, if you lost to the Mavericks and Knicks, you got to beat. If the Bucks don't have Giannis, you need to beat Bucks. You need to beat Portland. You need to beat Utah, and you need to beat the Magic. Nets, Sixers. That's about 6 wins. If you beat them, I think if you beat the Magic twice, that's 7. So, which would give you a winning season. And then on top of that, should get you that 7th spot. You lose to the Bucks, and then you choke to the Blazers. Now you're getting on a little bit of shaky ground. Like I said, the Hawks gonna be in the play-in. It's just, are they gonna be in position where they got to play 1 or 2 games? Because the thing is, even if they drop the 8th, they still have a chance to get the 7th seed if they beat Orlando in the play-in game. So it's like they just don't need to drop below that to give themselves 2 chances against the postseason, which they should be able to do. I know the Bulls are playing really well right now, but the Hawks just need to win a couple more games, and I think they'll be able to do that. The really team you worry about is Magic. So got to see how things work out. Got to bounce back from it. And you just got to be better next game, man. So that's all I really got to say about that, man. But a little shorter podcast today, man. I'm not going to keep y'all too long, man. But I appreciate y'all tuning into Believe in Hawks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Follow me on X, Brycey_2K for all my takes, all that on the Atlanta Hawks. And yeah, for sure. So it's your boy Bryce Lewis. See you next time.